thank you all for being here. Shout out to Verona with the 499 pounds. Finally, I caught up CanatosClutch Live. I'm out of the loop, so hopefully I can catch up on this topic. Well, good. All right, so you all can hear me. Oh, thank you. None of you were saying, oh, we can't hear you. You know what? Well, regardless, shout out to him. But here's what we're going to talk about tonight. On the last stream, Solo TV 84, myself, shout out to him. If Solo's still here, put the link of the last show if you're going to keep that up here. We were going in, and by we meaning me, I went in on a lot of the Trump fanboys who were basically pissed off because of the election results, because of this map, which as you can see here, Joe Biden is, as of right now, with the unofficial total count, is leading 279, which exceeds the 270 amount in order to win the presidency of the United States. A lot of people today are what I like to call coping. And it's gotten to the point where in the Manosphere, you're seeing a lot of people doing what I like to call a CopeMax. Now, the great CopeMax of the Manosphere, the great Manosphere post-election CopeMax is here. And we are now arriving to the point in which a lot of people don't want to face facts. And what are those facts? Hey, shout out to TV84 with the $10 super sticker, always showing support and love. But what are these facts? Well, first of all, the facts are here, or on just any other result. We can look at here. We can look at the, okay, well, this is even worse because they haven't won in Arizona, whereas the New York Times doesn't. And this is where one of the big contentious elections have been. So shout out to that. Shout out to Arizona for just giving us some entertainment for the past few days. But a lot of these Maggles, a lot of these babies kids, they don't want to face facts. They don't want to face facts that, you know, Donald Trump was fighting an uphill battle in which he needed all the support he could get, and then someone in order to win the election. And a lot of these guys have no idea on what they're talking about, specifically on just about Trump in general. And what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of these guys think that, well, you know, Trump won the election in 2016, and that he's going to do the cuts, and he's going to make the women submit, and he's going to take away the goodies, and he's going to lower the child support, and he's going to no. You all think that just because a guy who basically acts like you is in the White House, you think he's going to really do stuff on your behalf. Well, these last 4 years should have shown you that, guess what? No matter what you do, no matter who you vote for, it isn't enough. You can't vote your way to submission. You can't vote your way to getting these women to cooperate. You can't vote your way in order to get these women to like you. And first of all, why is this? You know what? Let me go ahead and do something right quick because YouTube is being a pain, and I can't even tell if you all can hear me right now because I'm trying to do this on. Let me go ahead and see if I'm live. My channel. Come on. Really? Really? Okay, so can I get the YouTube is being a pain. Let me go ahead and mute that. If you all can hear me right now because I'm trying to do this on. Let me go ahead and see if I'm live. My channel. Come on. All right, so I'm live. I'm good. I'm not even bothered with that. So there we go. With that being said, a lot of these guys, their issue specifically with me, or what their issue was with me, or is with me, is the coping. It's a lot of coping that I'm seeing within the Manosphere as of right now, and it's pretty sad. The reason why I say that is because a lot of these guys were depending on Donald Trump specifically in order to, let me go ahead and go back to the screen that I had here. Here we go. All right, so they were depending on Donald Trump to win the election in order to not necessarily fight off and fend off against feminism. I understand that. I'm with them on that. I understand this fourth wave, fifth wave of extreme feminism where Every other guy, particularly every other guy who wasn't select or jawline, was going to get Me Too'd. And if you talk to a woman the wrong way, she could cost you your career and all. Like, yes, there are extremist parts of feminism that need to be called out. But there are a good amount of these guys who were just here for the sake of just making women second-class citizens. And to that, I do not co-sign. And no, this is not me trying to have daggle talking points or trying to agree with the Democratic Party. That is definitely not what I was pushing. And I'm not backing down from my point neither. But first of all, a lot of these people do need to focus on the state level. That's one issue right there. These guys were just worried about, well, can we win on the national level? Can we win on just... Dude, no, that's not how things work. That's not how it works in America. Definitely not. But more importantly than that, a lot of these guys were just really hoping, really praying, really wishing that they could just vote their way out of whatever scenario that they were in. And what was that scenario? I mean, multiple scenarios. You have guys in the Manosphere, some guys who basically are in the scenario of, well, I can't get any, or I can't get the women that I want, or I can't get the big booty Keishas on the block, to cooperate with me, to respect me, and to love me. And what was that scenario? I mean, and all of a sudden, you know what? Oh, wait. I can vote someone in that will put in or supposedly put in policies in order to get these women to cooperate and to submit? Oh, crap. I can do that. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Let's do that. Let's vote. Let's go Trump, right? Go Trump. Trump 2016, right? Trump 2020, Trump whatever, right? But, yeah, and you said, okay, yeah, we got him in the first time around. We got him in the in 2016, and we got 4 years to Trump. All right, cool. I'm not even knocking the guys who got Trump in the White House and legitimately wanted to, there we go, legitimately wanted to have some policy changes and that sort of thing, because they really thought that men were getting the bitter end of the shaft, get a bitter end of the stick. And as I said, I agree. But the reason why, and we will have that stream. Biden and Kamala will address the nation soon. Let me know, all you out there, let me know when Biden and Kamala address the nation. We will support it. We will live stream it, because this is post-election coverage. This is CopeGate, CopeMax. A lot of these guys are CopeMaxing tonight. And it's hilarious how a lot of these guys are saying, well, you know what? Biden and Kamala, they're going to initiate socialism and Marxism and that sort of thing. And now the West is dying. Like, you guys are starting to sound like the white boys who are talking about the West is dying, the alt-right, just because their girls are going after BBC. Really? Look, we're better than this. We as American men should be better than to hold on to hope to one guy. And allow one guy to be the determination between getting our crap together and just sitting in silence. We should be better than relying on one guy, or having one guy determine if we are alpha, Chad, select, jawline, 5% guys, or if we're basement dwelling, neck beard, incels, black pillars, or whatever. Are you going to let a Kamala Harris presidency? Because that's what this is. Kamala Harris in the house. Shout out to her. I'm being sarcastic, but still, are you going to let Kamala Harris turn you from a jawline to an incel? Are you going to let Kamala Harris make you go from red pill to black pill, sitting on Saturday nights complaining about women's and all this other kind of stuff? And man, these women's are taking me down, man. These women's, they put me in child support and the alimony and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm not trying to shame every guy who went through child support and alimony. It's heinous. It is used in many cases in a bastardized way, and I do not support any bastardization of said child support or was it drama. Look, I don't co-sign any of that. You think I'm that mean in order to cheer on a Biden victory because I think that he's going to increase the child support payments and the alimony payments and Kamala Harris is going to do all this? No, I'm not cheering that on. What I am saying is that a lot of these guys who were rooting for Donald Trump, a Donald Trump victory, Donald Trump, another 4 years term, you all really thought that this guy was going to be the key to saving you from whatever you were dealing with, or to save you from whatever drama that you're dealing with, whether it's not being able to get girls or girls who you used to get but you were burnt by, or you were no longer that man in the block. So all of a sudden you have to be the beta bucks and pay child support and all this other kind of stuff. And look, as far as that's concerned, you can't rely on politics in order to change a certain scenario. Yes, it may hinder or help to a certain extent, but in the end, you can't rely on any one man, any politician, any group of politicians, or any political party to change yourself, to get your crap together, get your stuff straight. You got to do that on your own. You got to do the hard work. You got to go in and get your hands dirty. And by getting your hands dirty, hey, look, sometimes you may have to not rely on the government in order to do so. We as men have not, for the most part, been able to be self-sufficient and self-reliant for years. But all of a sudden, when Donald Trump does a little jig, does a little dance, does a little fetch and step, he fetched and step, and he did a little fetch and step for the men, for black men included. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to help you," and I got this platinum plan. I got Ice Cube talking to me. I'm speaking to Ice Cube, and I got the two epitome examples of Pookies of the 2000s and 50 Cent and Lil Wayne. They nominated me. So all of a sudden, we got all these hood conservatives popping up. These hood conservatives that a few years ago were basically clowning thinking black men for voting conservative. Let's not go there. Let's not go there with these conservatives who, before 2016, were calling the same men who voted Republican or voted anything but Democrat as sellouts. Oh, don't think I remember that crap? Don't think I not have a mind beyond 2016? I remember the stuff before 2016, especially around 2008. Oh, yeah. And look, you know what? As much as I supported freaking, what's his name, Ice Cube, and him trying to reach out to both parties and listen to Trump, the Democrats, they're going to make an example of Ice Cube. If I was Ice Cube, I'd lay low at this point. I definitely would lay low. But yeah, let me see what you guys are talking about here. This is the key. You guys nobody's talking about local and state elections. Nobody. Absolutely nobody's talking about state elections. They're like, "Oh, Trump or nothing. It's Trump or nothing. It's Nerf or nothing. Trump or nothing, man. Trump 2020, or we're all going to have to eat off of Kamala Harris's WAP. I don't want that. You don't put me on child support and put me around on crossfire." And look, so and I have told you how you can avoid all those mishaps that a lot of these daggles in charge or MAGA or whoever, these feminists in charge, we've told you how to avoid that. And that's to not deal with them. Not deal with the daggle. And not deal with her baby's kids. Not deal with the MAGA-ass baby daddy. But no, I don't want the daggle. I want the daggle to love me. The daggle, man. All I want is big booty Bonquisha for Christmas and for a cookout, and I won't be invited to the cookout. Yeah, a lot of you Negroes also wouldn't be invited to the cookout. And I bet you, and trust me, we're not just going to cook the Trump fans. We're going to cook some of the Biden fans too, because I bet when, what's her name? Grandmama Maxine Waters told you black men, you better vote Democrat or else there are going to be consequences and repercussions. I bet some of you are like, I don't know. I may want to vote for what's her name? I may want to vote for Kamala and then from Biden and then because Maxine Waters told me I wasn't gonna go to the cookout. I wasn't gonna go to Thanksgiving dinner, and even though it's canceled in half of the country, can't like freaking what they did in my state, how they hashtag cancel Halloween. They're gonna cancel Thanksgiving. At least they're trying to cancel Thanksgiving, but we'll see how successful they are with that. And yeah, you can argue that Democrats started that organization. They use hate groups and divisions to win elections. The ghetto will never improve with Democrats. Hey, you know what? Hey, I'm not even arguing with you there. But tell 80% of the guys who voted for freaking for the Democrats. Tell them that. Tell them that the Democrats mean nothing for you. Okay, so all right. So we got tonight at 5 p.m. my time. Watch President Joseph Biden's speech. Okay, we're gonna watch that speech in a bit. But in the meantime, let's go down with what some of you all are talking about. Any questions? Super chat your questions if you really want me to answer them instead of just pan by them. Let me see. We hear you. Okay, good. So, shout out Jessica X. Jessica X dated something earlier here, and if she's still watching, feel free to shout herself out and put her channel in the description because, I mean, you know what? If the people have spoken, they want Jessica X, they want the NAWALT, so go ahead and put your link in the description. So yeah, she stated something here. Speak now, forever hold your peace. And a lot of these guys who were talking about, oh, Clutch is trash, Clutch is garbage, Clutch is this, Clutch is the MAGA. You're speaking Democratic talking points. You're copying Maxine Waters. Just because you don't like Trump, you don't kiss his ass, and you're exposing us for reason why we voted Trump. Oh yeah, we're gonna expose. And you know the reason why a lot of you voted for Trump? It's for a combination of silly ass reasons. As I stated in Solo TV, if you haven't heard it, here are the facts. Half of you voted for him because he reminds you of this machismo kind of ruler who can grab girls by the hoo-ha and have all sorts of hot baby mamas and then just throw them aside once they get one wrinkle and then have all these kids that basically kiss his ass or just fight for him. Trump is the ultimate what the ultimate baby kid wants. This is the ninja, what the ninja wants. He wants to have that swag. He wants to have that power. He wants to have all those hoes lined up for him, these baby mamas lined up for him, good-looking baby mamas, and have none of them say a peep. Maybe the Rouses might say a peep, but also half of them, the reason why they voted for Trump, another half was because they wanted the cuts. And they were pissed off because these girls and these daggles were getting all sorts of cuts while they weren't, or they were not getting respect in the community. And shout out to the voice of the everyday beta. And now, oh yeah, the same voice of the everyday beta who's saying, oh, you got to pay for the daggle. You got, not for females, you got to pay for the daggle. You got to pay to take these women out. I know I said I wanted these women to burn their own excrement like 3 years ago, but now it's like, you gotta go 50. Now it was 50-50 last year. Now you gotta pay. You gotta pay. We see you. We see you. We see you. See, you got a lot of guys who are being bribed by the Daggle bucks. And let me see. What else are you all saying? All right, so all right, cool. So let me see. The super chats, I got them. All right, Kamal. Yeah, well, yeah. Here's the thing. So Kamal is black, but I'm still not. Exactly. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, if you don't have swag, you ain't black enough. That's the reason why I only have 25 people instead of like 255 people, because I got down like this. No, me short. Oh, what up, bro? What up, B? What up, gangsta? No, me. See, look, when you had Colin Powell and Michael Steele say that, well, actually that's a bad example, but who said which one? When you had when you had 50 Cent and all these other rappers, and was it Lil Wayne, Ice Cube, even to a certain extent, when they said they were voting for Trump, that's when it was cool to vote for Trump. But you saying that me whack, you whack though. But when Michael Steele was a conservative pre-Trump, And when Colin Powell was conservative, they were seen as whitewashed. They were seen as, oh, you corny, lame, and dope. Man, look, I mean, Trump should have won. I mean, look, he should have won, but he ran his campaign bad. Man, I think a lot of these guys who voted for him, the increased amount of black men, a lot of them are just, that's true. That's true. Let me see what else. Shout the Gill. That's what you needed to do. Vote local, people. Vote local. I mean, you can't trust these national politicians. I wouldn't put all my eggs in the one basket thinking that a national politician is going to make or break your life. And I think that's what a lot of these people are coping over. They're coping over the fact that according to them, Trump is a god. Trump is the reason why I made so much money in the past 4 years. Not that you lit a fire in your ass and realized that you got to do for self and you got to work. Yeah, I made the most money I ever made within these past 4 years under Trump. I'll admit that. But I'll be damned if I'm going to give Trump all the damn credit or even a majority of the credit saying he's the reason why I made all this money. And yeah, we know. We absolutely know that this is what time it is. I mean, no one's fooled. But yeah, as far as that's concerned, I don't see the haters here. I don't see the haters, half of whom who voted for Trump because, man, these daggos won't like me. And if we take the cuts away, if we take the cushy government jobs and the child support and the welfare away, well, they're going to submit. And then you got half of these guys who were liked by the Daggle, but have since fell out of favor with the Daggle. So they're like, man, I'm a hood servant. Know what I mean? Know what I mean, B? Know what I mean? What up, B? What up, Kings? What up? What up, Ward? Man, I know I voted for Hillary 4 years ago, even though I ain't gonna admit it. Or I just stayed home and I voted for Trump, even though Trump did all this liberal stuff. But man, I'm team not Trump. I voted for Obama 8 years ago and 16 years ago, 12 years ago, I should say. But yeah, look, these guys are silly. And I was hearing a bunch of conservatives talking. You know what? How about instead of me talk, because I can give you all these sorts of examples. I can show you examples, which I'm sure some of our fellow content creators wouldn't mind. But first, Jaws with the $2 super chat. Do you think Biden will live through his first term? I'm going to say this about Biden living through his first term. At this point, the best thing you can hope for is Biden living through his first term and then resigning. Because I don't see how he can do 8 years in his current condition. Honestly, that's the best strategy you can hope for. A lot of you guys who are trashing Biden, you better hope that he lives through this. You better hope that he gets through it. You better hope that he has his life alert under his suit. This is life alert. Yeah, exactly. You better hope he has that life falling. I can't get up. Please don't let him fall and can't get up. Don't let him be like an example like you saw in the life alert commercials. Don't let him be that. It's like what I said to the people on the left about Donald Trump. You hate Trump so much. Okay, cool. I get it. But you want him out of office that bad that you are willing to risk Mike Pence being president? Mike Pence. The guy who politically knows what he's doing. The guy who isn't a political dumbass like Donald Trump. The guy who actually poses a threat to liberal progress and progressive stuff. This guy, Pence, is way worse than Donald Trump and is way more of a threat to progressive issues than Donald Trump. A lot of you guys were saying, F Donald Trump, man. No. Donald Trump has been moderate at the very worst. And a lot of these guys, like, look at this. Trump will get reelected in 2024. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not trying to use it as an example, but that's just some of the examples of what I've been seeing with this CopeMax. This has been some CopeMaxing tonight. So let's go on ahead and see some examples. Let's just go to YouTube right now because I can show you better than I can tell you. I don't want to say I blew my load mostly on that stream, but let's go. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So let's go to and I know Shout out to Bernard Raleigh. Hopefully he does not mind me. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is the example I'm talking about with the CopeMax, right? I'm not going to play the entire thing because it's like 5 hours long. And let me see if I can just increase the sound on my end.
But now we have to go back and scrutinize everything that's happened in this place. How can we trust anything in this building now?
All right, yeah. Well, let's listen to some of these hood conservatives try to damage control this. And not during this part, but when you had like a high amount of hood conservatives here, it literally sounded like the Bebe's Kids Barbershop. I'll let you listen to this.
All right, time out.
Thank you. All that's nonsense. If 73 million people voting don't let you brothers know that there's something wrong with this man, then you guys will never be objective. And it will always just be
wait a minute, bro.
And she did this. Who do you think they're marching against?
They marching for who he, nigga. Shut the fuck up with that goofy ass shit. They marching for a gangster rapper named Who He. And you out here trying to have fucking justice going on.
Hey, a mentally retarded dude with 5 kids.
No, but they out here marching for this nigga that be busting crazy nuts and bitches, and you want to make him a black hero.
Listen,
I don't got a bunch of crazy babies running
where's
around.
all this going on at, bro? Where's all this going on at?
So Trump ain't busting nuts and bitches. He ain't mad to a porn star. So Trump ain't fucking around.
All right. So, okay, bro, can you stop talking for 5 seconds? Let me bring something up real quick. So you mentioned all these areas where niggas getting shot at. Well, let's take a look. All the areas where niggas getting shot at are the same place where all the voter fraud is happening. The same place where all of a sudden at midnight, oh my God, let me finish, bro. Let me finish. All of a sudden, the vote counting stops. And all these places you want to hear shot at. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That sounds real funny, right? Oh, you don't want to hear facts. But is it true? Is it true that all the places, hey, Black Brown, can you shut up for 2 seconds? Hey, Black Brown, can you shut up for 2 seconds, bro?
Come on, man.
Hey, you see what happens, right? When you hit them with the real, oh my God, all the fraud's happening in all the places where niggas getting shot at. Oh my God, are they playing black people?
You just said some sucker shit about. Well,
come on, bro. That's sucker shit. Come on, bro. Answer the question, bro. Answer the question.
There is a correlation. Let's look at the correlation.
Yeah. This is the CopeMax I'm talking about. This is the CopeMax that I'm seeing. This is the CopeMax that a lot of people are doing. A lot of babies' kids are doing these days. And you know what? Yeah, a lot of people say, "Well, did you vote for Donald Trump?" It doesn't matter who I voted for. I'll tell you this: I didn't vote for Biden. I'll tell you that much. But look, this is what they're referring to. A lot of people are referring to this specific chart of, and let me put this in HD. There you go, HD. 720p for you for that ass. And we're going up with 299 pounds. What the left will do to maintain should scare you. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. The left does a lot to scare people straight. They do, and it's not. Yeah, look. This is the thing that a lot of people are using to attest for fraud. Now, whether this is accurate or not, whether this is an error or not, whether this is a dump, a conspiracy dump or not, then you can be the judge of this. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I wouldn't be surprised if the Democrats pulled off some sort of, loosened some sort of laws, pulled some sort of strings in order to get the vote in the Midwest. I wouldn't be surprised if this happened. I wouldn't. And to be honest, you know what? Let's see.
Situation, just mail it in. We're going to show you how to do it. They had a real good signs on.
I mean, it's blatantly obvious.
Boom, here we go. All right, bro.
That's why
prove it, bro. Prove it.
People just came out and voted.
They have Biden and just done this. The other candidate done that, and I'm voting.
Mike check.
Spiritual. So you got someone like me and I hear what they want on the vote for.
Ain't a huge difference.
The more clear.
It's a funny ass character to me, man.
To the eyes of your party,
so Trump gets none of those votes. I don't want it
to even flip it.
All right. Anyway, look, a lot of coping going on here. A lot of coping going on here. Let's go ahead and let me see. Let's watch this. We got some more coping going on.
Appreciate the membership. Ballots come in, and every last one of them are for Joe Biden. Do you honestly think we believe that? Do you honestly think we believe that? It was a record voter turnout. Donald Trump got more votes than Barack Obama. And Barack Obama's number of votes was historic. There's no other president in recent history that is as popular as Barack Obama. Barack Obama got a historic number of votes. So you mean to tell me that in this election, both Trump and Biden got a historic amount of votes? Both Trump and Biden beat Barack Obama's record? Something ain't stirring the coffee, bro. Something ain't adding up. Now, if every time Trump had a rally and had this sea of people, if Joe Biden had rallies and had a sea of people, I could believe it. I could believe it. But that's not what we saw. That's not what we saw. Like, let's be real. That's not what we saw. What we saw is very little support, very little enthusiasm, very little. Okay? So you're not going to sit here and tell me that he had that level of support. And I told y'all what they were going to do. All they have done is the night of the election, they stopped the count. They waited until everybody went to sleep. They looked at how many votes they needed. And then they came up with 100,000 votes, 200,000 votes that all went to Biden.
All right, so I'm not going to say what he's saying is incorrect or correct, but the CopeMax is real, and you can tell that the kind of guys who are CopeMaxing, they were not supporting no damn conservative or Republicans before Trump. And in a way, I don't blame them, because the Republicans really didn't do much to cater to thinking black men versus black men in general, especially the street black men. But yeah. I mean, as far as that's concerned, like the hood conservatives, oh yeah. Well, do you want to click this? Do y'all want to? You want to see some real coping? Just read this. Read this. Read this title. You want to talk about coping? You want to talk about real coping? Coping beyond the election? This is some bull crap. Hold on, let me go ahead and do that. And King Sigma, shout out to you. You always get the mention here. Shout out to you. You're in the building. Let me know if you want to hop on for a bit. We can talk about this post-election CopeMax. And as I said, I'm not trying to damage control for Biden or whatever. I didn't vote for Biden, but the CopeMax is real. And the CopeMax is that a lot of you guys are definitely relying on one man in order to solve all your problems. Look, one man is not going to solve all your problems. One man is not going to fix your problems. One man is not going to make you an alpha male, select male, the community who doesn't need to code approach women and take you from Ashley to classy. And to be honest, this is, the 20% of black men voted for Trump. Honestly, people were saying 30. People were saying 30. People were saying 50. People were saying 70% of black men. Oh, we're going to vote for Trump, and it's going to be the black male independent. And oh man, we're going to independent ourselves from the females. What happened? What happened? I was expecting more. I was looking for more black men to vote for Trump, or just not vote for Biden, not vote for Kamala. But your mamas told you otherwise. Your mamas convinced you to do otherwise. What happened, community? What happened, thinking men? What happened to black men? What happened, hood conservatives? I know hood conservatives or boys in the hood make up more than 20% of the black male populace. If not real boys in the hood, then the Renaissance gangsters, the gangsters who pretend to be thugs on YouTube, or the thug LARPers, the live action role playing thugs, those guys. I know there are more of them out there. And a lot of you all are like, man, that's my man 50 though. My man Lil Wayne though. Ice Cube, he a legend. He's a GOAT in the game. And if you told me he was talking to Trump, maybe I should look at Trump. Know what I mean, man? But nah. A lot of you guys during election. Let me see what up. I got there. All right, cool. King Sigma, I'll send you a link. You know what? Let me go ahead and put the link in the chat. If Jessica X is on here, if she's still, no cam up, not tonight. You don't got to cam up tonight. Let me see. Yeah, you're still here. So you know what? I don't have your email, Jessica, so I'm going to give you the link. I'm going to put the link in the chat room, and whoever I let on. Oh, Sigma Jones, you're invited to. So going ahead, and do that right quick. Let me do some housework, some house cleaning. And in the meantime, we got Sigma Jones in the building. Shout out to Sigma Jones with the $10 super chat. Hope and cope can be very deadly. Ooh, I love hope and cope. Hope and cope! Hope and cope. Oh, man. I got to steal that one for a video, but I'll give you the credit. All credit goes to Sigma Jones for that one. Hope and cope can be very deadly when things don't go as planned. Definitely we'll be talking about this political climate later in weeks. Xanatos. Yeah. King, right now, Sigma Jones, I put in the link in the chat, so feel free to come on whenever you can. You too, Jessica X, if you want. Maybe it's not too late over there. Maybe it's not too late. But do you work as like a nighttime operator, Jessica? I wonder, is it like a night job, or are you a nurse or something like that? Because you do some late night hours, at least for your time. But I mean, it's perfect for us. But anyway, we aren't gonna try to dox her too much. Yeah, lay off. But in the meantime, I know I've been talking about a lot of these guys, and I know it seems like I've been meandering for the past 30 minutes, but in reality, the point is this. A lot of these guys were just relying on one man or just a party at best in order to help them with their problems, whether it's their women problems, their child support problems, their lack of getting WAP problems. But you cannot, and I repeat, you cannot rely on any sort of political system in order to solve your issues. Anyway, King Sigma, go ahead and take this away. And I don't know who the No Cupcake Zone is. Say who you are in the chat, or else I'm not going to let you on. But go ahead, King Sigma.
Hey, salute to you, brother. Is that Sigma Jones in it as well?
Sigma Jones has a super chat, but I'm not sure if that's Sigma Jones. It's dude in the kid. No Cupcake Zone. Come on, man. You gotta, dude. Who really? See, this is what happens when people drop the link.
Yeah, that's why I asked you to send me the email, because I know how that whole dropping the link. You never should do that in the public chat, bro.
These guys really think that I'm not sure. They won't even say who they are in the chat. It's like, oh, I'm going incognito and I'm just gonna sneak up in. I won't say anything, but
some cats just be on some creepy shit. But ultimately, like the American Psychological Association said that trolling is a sociopathic behavior. So the best thing it is to do is let them know, hey, if you want to be a sociopath, then we know what's up, and then ignore them. It's like they just, it's an ego thing with them. It's the only time that they feel relevant is that, it's so many things that a person could be doing on an evening like this, and they choose to troll you. That tells you something. You know what I'm saying? These are people that really need to get a life. But, as far as like this election, everyone's saying that the election over, but ultimately it's not over yet, man. And for me, someone that really loves history, I had to go back in history and look at like the 1876 election, because that was the last time that an election got actually decided by the House. Because you have to understand, what happens with the media ultimately doesn't have any bearing on the legal process relating to an election. That's why even the media is smart enough to say projected winner. They haven't been declared a winner. They've been declared the projected winner. Go look at the media headlines. But no one says that it's projected. They're just so caught up in the fact that the media made a declaration. Go back and watch the videos from the year 2000. In 2000, with the Bush v. Gore, the same exact thing that's happening is happening now. But this time, it's multiplied by 6. At that time, it was one state. There was a month or like 4 or 5 weeks before that decision was decided. But remember, all the media outlets declared George or Al Gore as the winner. And guess what ended up happening? The George Bush administration, which one of their legal advisors is now sitting on the Supreme Court, Amy Coney Barrett, fought that case. And ultimately, the Supreme Court decided it. But that was a situation where the Supreme Court made a decision. But there's also been times in American history where it actually, the election went through the entire process and they weren't able to declare a winner. That was 1876, right? And so based on the Constitution, it goes to the House, right? So in a situation where like State legislatures are the one that certify their electors for each state. When you have a situation where of all the 5 swing states that we're talking about, all 5 of those, well, I think, okay, except for Nevada. Yeah, Nevada would be the 6th state. Nevada is the only state whose state legislature is not controlled by the Republican Party. Yet I've heard no one talking about this. It's the state legislatures for every state that has to certify the electors. By constitutional mandate, they don't have to certify the electors if they believe that these are illegitimate wins. So what people should be doing is encouraging full recounts in those 6 states. Because guess what? Everybody wins when you do the recount. Because if it ends up being wrong, now you know this person was the loser. If it ends up being right, then you know that this person was the winner. That's why I guess I come to this kind of conversation a lot differently than other people, because my first president I voted for was Barack Obama. Then I voted Libertarian in the last 2 presidential elections. This time I voted for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for any other Republicans on the ballot. I voted for Donald Trump. I voted for a few Libertarians and a few independents and a couple of judges that I'm aware of that are Democrats. Because I can do that based on my own vetting of certain policies that I've looked into, looking at records of Biden, Kamala versus the 4 years that Trump was a politician. I made the decision as an individual that I liked what I saw from Trump in 4 years, and it was encouraging enough for me to cast my vote for the first Republican presidential candidate. That doesn't mean that I'm a Republican or that I would ever support Republicans. But what it does mean is I saw enough in Donald Trump in 4 years versus what I saw from Biden over 47 years to say, I would rather throw my vote with this person. Because again, he was a bulwark against a lot of the misandry that Biden's administration would push. Because again, he's already laid out his transitional team. It's pretty much all feminists. We just went through a situation where Suzanne Rice talked down and embarrassed a private citizen in Snoop Dogg when he dared to make a comment about Kamala Harris or whatever it was that, or Gayle King at the time. And they saying that she might be like the Secretary of Defense. So for me, I place my votes on who is going to be the biggest threat to me as a man. I mean, they will create policies that will take this gender bias and gender affirmative action to the next level, where men that are qualified won't get jobs because they just happen not to be a woman or a Latino and an Asian, which will be who they're going to promote the most based on the exit polls. Where's the biggest opportunity? That's where the politics is going to go. You look at the Asian outcome, the Latino outcome, 33% or something like that for the Asian women, or 33% for the Latino women for Trump, and being like 60% or so, something like that number, the men in those groups. So when the Democratic Party looks out, they're saying, we got to convert this growing Latino population. We have to convert this Asian population that has a lot of money, the highest income group in America. If we can convert those 2 groups, our future looks bright. But if we allow the Republicans to convert and groom those groups, then we're going to lose, because the black men are trending away from the Democratic Party. And also, the bigger story was 10% of black women voting for Trump. So that was my whole reason for my voting thing. And I've been very consistent in how I thought it would be. I always said it would be around 20% of people that would vote for Trump, black men. Always thought that. I ended up being just about right. So when it gets to this whole who won or who didn't, the election isn't over. It's all 50 states certify the election. And no one is talking about the fact that those states are controlled by GOP at the state level. And they may decide that they just don't believe it. So we all should be happy to see a recount and get an official number one way or another. Now, if it gets thrown to the Supreme Court, that's why we have a Supreme Court. If it ends up being decided by the House, well, guess what? The way that the Electoral College works from a constitutional level, it doesn't go to who has the majority in the House. It's based by delegation, by each state's delegation. And it doesn't work the same way as House Representatives representation works. Each state in that situation will get equal vote in a decision for the presidency. And that's based on party affiliation, not the overall House. So what would happen, the GOP has an advantage under that scenario. So what we all should be doing is just letting the legal procedure play out, instead of allowing the media to just get this big riotous environment created so that they can get good ratings. Because guess what? We saw with the whole riots in the summer. Did you notice that the moment that those riots started pushing their way out of the urban city limits and crossing over into the suburbs, that's when you saw the governors of those states start calling in the National Guard. You think that these fucking rich 10%ers give a damn if people who live in cities burn down their own grocery stores, burn down their own convenience stores, burn down their own apartments? They don't give a shit. But the moment that you bring that crap to the suburbs, they will be the first ones saying, Trump, please invoke the Insurrection Act. He had a right to invoke the Insurrection Act all through that time. But he said, nope, I'm going to stand down. I'm going to let the Democrats in those areas get this thing in order. But if he was to get reelected, or even if Biden got reelected, don't sleep. Biden is big on that Insurrection Act stuff. He's even come out and said he's not with that rioting. Because when that stuff gets out to their homes, they don't mind if they burn down XanatosClutch's home or my home. But you can damn sure believe you go trying to burn down one of those CNN anchors' homes or one of those Fox News homes, they will be the first ones in line saying, you governors need to do something about this. It's all game, man. It's all game.
Yeah. And first of all, I want to thank you for, one, elaborating the logical reason why you voted for Donald Trump. I hope that I didn't come across as a person who was just bashing Donald Trump himself and what he's done for the past 4 years. I give him credit where credit's due. And to be honest, if you want to all be transparent here, even in the state of California, against all odds, even though my vote would damn sure not count, I actually voted for Donald Trump. And actually what you mentioned was similar to your voting patterns, actually been strikingly similar to my voting pattern for the past 4 elections. My first election was in 2008. I voted for Obama then. Then I realized, okay, this isn't as much hope and change as I expected. So I decided to go libertarian. I was hoping that Ron Paul would get it in 2012, but we saw what the GOP did to him, like the Democrats did to Bernie. So I ended up voting libertarian and independent for the past 2 elections, 12 and 16. 2020, however, I did, despite the state that I'm in and being in the Bay Area especially, and actually that's actually a big reason why I ended up voting for Trump, was because it wasn't so much as me supporting Trump and his rhetoric, his handling of the coronavirus, honestly. It was of other reasons. One, it was because of the reception I have received in the Bay Area, in NorCal, ever since I moved out here, which has been basically anything but good when it comes to black men. I have not felt as disrespected as a black man ever since I was in the DC area. And we all know the DC area is another place that is super liberal other than NorCal. Hell, SoCal is more conservative than the Bay Area or the DC area. But I have never seen or experienced so much disrespect and so much animosity, passive aggressive, covert, whatever, towards black men as I have in the Bay Area. That was one of the reasons why I said, you know what, I'm not, look, because California, right? And also, you got to remember, Kamala Harris, she is from California. And if you want to see how a place looks, look at how the politicians run it. And we've seen how California is ran. California is a place where blacks, especially black men, have a very low standard of living and quality of life. And you do not think that Kamala Harris had something to do with that? Absolutely. In addition, her track record of just the criminal justice system of just trying to lock up black men or keep black men in prison, obviously we've seen how that's resulted and how that hurts black men once they get out from prison with the whole the felony charge and the felony scarlet letter kind of thing. And alongside that, I would say that given the fact that I have made a good amount of money from the past 4 years, granted, I do not credit that towards Trump, but I will give him credit for staying out of my way and not trying to do anything politically or policy-wise to prevent that. I have to give him credit where credit's due. The issue I had was with individuals who basically are using this election as another way to get out and basically get out their grievances about black women. And I'm not even a fan. I'm not even the biggest fan of today's American, most of American black females. We all know that. Obviously, I'll be the first one to criticize them about who they choose to lie up with, who they choose to select as alpha, and how they act, and the way. And we can. This isn't. But at the same time, I have more important things to do than to focus on women who don't want me.
Facts.
I was hoping that the what you would call the no simp zone. Do you know no simping zone, no cupcake zone is? It sounds like, is that elite?
I have no idea who that is. I don't.
It's not like some platinum elite name.
That is an interesting name, though. But like what you were saying about the American black women, I'm like you, dude. I've never, outside of the women in my family or the American black women that I'm sleeping with, I've never really been one to really care what the ABW is doing outside of misandry. My whole thing is like, don't come after black men because you're making bad decisions. Don't attack all black men because of the ones that you're laying up with and having children with. You're impoverished and you feel like the walls are closing in, not because of the American black men like me, but the ones you chose. And I think that if black men and black women, if we can move more towards that, and I have a feeling that after this election, that's what's going to happen. Because again, the Democratic Party is about to prioritize Latinos and Asians, man. And they know that the black men are going to be heavily recruited by other parties, not just Republicans, but libertarians, Green Party, because black men made a big political statement. They said, hey, we're not going to continue to vote the way that our grandparents voted just because of symbolic appearances and a pat on the head. And that's going to continue to trend as you go down the ages of the Z's, the millennial, the younger millennials. So that trend is going to pick up over the next 2 years and next 4 years. And again, we're still forgetting the GOP as it stands. They're going to keep a 53-47 split in the Senate as things stand today. And they picked up like 6 to 8 seats in the House. That wasn't expected to happen. So what that says is that more than likely, the Congress trends towards the GOP in 2 years, very similar to like what happened with Barack Obama when they came in with the supermajority, and then that created like a backlash of the Tea Party, and they took that over, in 2010 or whatever, or 2011. So my whole thought is just that this is a great moment, I think, for younger black people, because most of us weren't taught anything from the black elders. Most of us have been blind and living our lives based on experience, good and bad, and trying to figure this whole thing out. But one thing I noticed from this election so far, as we get into the next act of it, is that younger black men are saying that I'll take my chances with a smaller government, with lower taxes, and that getting rid of the oversight of the black matriarchy over our lives. And that's a big thing because, again, a lot of these women got very arrogant over the last 10 years, and they started speaking so badly about black men, not knowing that you're only in that position because what you offer as a packaged vote for the Democratic Party. And now the Democratic Party is like, hey, you ladies don't got control of black men anymore. So what you offer is not it's a less of an investment in you as black female voters than what it will be in us putting in another 10 million Latinos and bringing in more Asians. No one's talking about that, man.
And I hate to say it, but you are right, especially on the last part about how the American black female no longer has that matriarchal control of black men and the subsequent result of that. And I think a lot of them do realize that. I mean, you saw what Grandma Maxine Waters said with black men suffering consequences.
Total disrespect.
That's actually what made me choose Trump. That was the nail in the coffin that made me just, I gotta choose Trump. I was thinking between Trump and the Libertarian candidate this year, but I said to myself, you know what? And I remember telling you this: if Joe Biden decided to choose someone who wasn't anti-black male, even she could have been a socialist, say, for instance, Stacey Abrams. I wouldn't give a crap. I don't think she's done anything that was flagrantly anti-black male, but feel free to tell me if different. Or especially if she chose like Elizabeth Warren. I was just going to vote libertarian.
That's who I thought it would be. That's who I actually thought he was going to choose. I thought it was going to be Elizabeth Warren or Gretmer. I thought Elizabeth Warren because of how she placed in the primary, and once he passed her, I thought it would be Gretchen Whitmer because she's the governor of Michigan, and I thought from a symbolic standpoint that would have been a win-win for him because he would have got a female as his vice president who is a governor, which no one would have questioned the ability of her to lead if something happened to him, but also because the lieutenant governor of Michigan is a black man. And he would have become governor. He would have been the only black governor in America had he chosen Gretchen Whitmer. So I was actually more along your lines. I thought it was actually going to be Elizabeth Warren or Gretchen Whitmer.
And if, as I said, if he would have chosen either one of those, I'd have been like, you know what? I'm just going to go libertarian, just let the cards play out how they may. But, you know, the matriarchy decided to shame black men one too many times and just doing a front towards black men one too many times with the Kamala Harris election and the Maxine Waters shaming. And
Brittany Cooper's comment the week before.
Oh, well, who gives a shit about damn?
The Washington Post does. See, that's what I'm saying. Like you and I, they didn't understand that. We don't care. They didn't understand that. But they give these misandrists all of the platform and all of the space to spew out all this hatred of black men. And I think that they thought, oh, they still are in line, but they found out that, nah, man, 20% and about another 3% of black men going third party. We're reaching 25%. In 2 years, I'm thinking it'll be about 30%. But here's what I think the real story is going to be in 2022. I think it's going to be the lowest voter turnout probably in the last 50 years, man. I think it's just going to be like no one shows, because, you know, midterms are already much lower than the general. But I think that the 2022, man, it's going to be like pretty much all the suburban whites are going to show up for the election. No one else is going to show up.
Suburban whites and okay boomers.
I mean, okay boomers, they might all be in retirement homes and they don't even care about voting at that point. Because I think that might be their last election because a lot of them are going to be hitting their 70s at that point. But I just think that it was a good statement for the younger black people that when you look out 5-10 years in the future, things look good for black men. Because everyone keeps talking about the Republican thing, but that's not why black men mostly voted for Trump. There's a large population of black men that are like you and like me. We voted for Trump because of misandry and the tired and just being fatigued of all of the anti-black rhetoric that's allowed in the mainstream media. So I couldn't vote for Biden knowing that he was the one behind the Dear Colleague letter. He's the one that set the kind of standards that destroyed lives like Brian Banks' life that no one talks about. And then the total hypocrisy. When he got hit with a rape case by Tara Reid, the Me Too movement fell on a sword for him and went totally dark and fell into the shadows for him in exchange for promises of power and grants moving forward. How can I, as a man in America, support something like that? I'd rather see 4 more years of Trump than to see the misandrists take over. But here's the thing. We live in a republic, and if there's a plurality and they win, then I have to accept it if the recounts prove that Biden and Kamala are the chosen ones, and then Trump loses his lawsuit, then I got to accept things for what they are. Because I'm going to keep pushing forward on my own individual track. Because I think that for now, those tax cuts that he made are still in place. And for now, the internet is growing in terms of making money. So I'm grandfathered in my government gig. So for me, nothing's really going to change. But I had to play my part. That's it.
Yeah, and that is exactly the attitude that we need when it comes to this. Hey, do you have something on? Nope. Oh, okay, never mind. So they're okay. Oh,
no, that's not me. That's some other guy I think is on your panel, not me.
No, it was me because So Kamala Harris is walking out right now. She's about to make her speech, and we will go back to that coverage once Joe Biden goes on and makes his speech, even though neither one of us voted for him. We have to let all the politicians make their case, make their statement. And to be honest, I mean, to be real, I mean, yeah, she's the vice president now, but I think we have more people would rather listen to what we say than what she says.
Well, I'm talking to an Indian babe right now, so hey, on that end, welcome Kamala if that ends up being the case. maybe you'll bring some more of the East Indian women over to this side of the game. You see what I'm saying?
Oh no.
I'm a person that I'm about turning lemons into lemonade. So, hey, like I said, if the recount fails and this is what we have to deal with, I'm gonna adjust, to the situation, just like I did in the other two elections. To me, it's like, again, if you're a person that's really depending on a bigger state to help you, and you're one of these black men that voted for Biden because you said how bad Trump is, I just think that was a bad move, because you should vote for a conviction. You vote based on either transactional reasons that you're going to get something tangible exchange, or you vote based on your convictions. But for you to say, well, I just want to get Trump out of there, that means that you really don't have any convictions and you really don't understand the tangible aspect of quid pro quo. I understand all that. When I looked across the board, again, he was the only Republican I voted for, was Donald Trump. I stuck with my tradition of the last two elections, a libertarian. And then again, I know a couple judges in my area that have been very good judges that are Democrats, and I voted for them. But to sit up there and just say, well, I voted to get Trump out of there because I don't like him, that means that your community, if that's the leadership in your community, the way that they think, you have no future in the current in America that we're about to create now. Kamala Harris represents a flood of interracial love. That's the visuals and the symbolism. Because remember, under Obama, you had a biracial man that looked like your typical light-skinned black man, but he had a very dark-skinned wife and darker-skinned children. So the symbolism of it for 8 years was a black family, black love. That is not the symbolism that is not going to be seen and promoted in the White House for the next 2-4, if that happens. Because again, Kamala Harris has no children. She's a stepmother to white children, and her husband is white, pale, like the snowman. Okay? So guess what that sells? This is Olivia Pope in the flesh. We've gone from Scandal, a reality TV president with Donald Trump, to actually combining both of them. Olivia Pope has been brought to real life through Kamala Harris. So what does that say? We're entering the age of the interracial birth boom. This will be an interracial baby birth boom, because again, the image that will be flashed every day for everyone to see, if this ends up being the outcome, is Kamala Harris and her white husband, Kamala Harris next to the white man, Joe Biden, and all the white feminist counselors around them. So that's what I think is coming. But no one's talking about that. No one's talking about that fact that that's going to be the image put out there. Because if it was an image that Barack Obama put out there, it didn't even have to be a white woman. What do you think would have happened, XanatosClutch, if Barack Obama if Kamala was his wife? How do you think the community would have reacted to that? You think he would have been president?
Oh man, the community, I wouldn't have backed him. Maybe non-black America would have backed him because Kamala Harris is light skinned and he's light skinned. If it was that, then it would have been closer. It probably would have taken this long to get in this president. But if Barack Obama had not even a white woman, but a Latina, an Asian, or a full-on Indian chick. Now, you see how John James struggled? He lost twice in Michigan because he has a white wife. The deep North doesn't play that shit. Exactly. John James, senator of Michigan, really? He doesn't get it. He's in Michigan, not Minnesota. Now, Minnesota, he may have been all right. If he was in like Oregon or Washington or Nevada, Arizona, he'd be all right.
Yeah,
for like a senator or a congressional spot. But as in the deep North, you're just as good as politically dead as you are in the deep South. If you're a black man trying to be wedded to a non-black woman and trying to run for power
as a Republican, at that.
Exactly. And Michigan is not a bastion of libertarian Republicans where they're like, okay, I just want my low taxes and guns, but we can have weed, and I'm cool with the gay marriage and interracial stuff. I'm cool with it. No, these aren't the libertarian conservatives he's finding like Colorado somewhere or Arizona somewhere or in Nevada. This is conservative, Reagan conservative, good old boy conservative. We don't like it kind of around here, conservatives.
Industrial. It's also industrial.
Industrial conservatives, your Reagan Democrats, literally, or your blue-collar Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kind of conservatives that you have up there in places like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, which is the reason, Wisconsin, which is the reason why those states took forever to count. But
see, the thing with Wisconsin, that's my home state, and Wisconsin has an automatic recount. So people aren't talking about the fact that Wisconsin has an automatic recount when it's that close. So that's going to happen anyways. And the fact that unlike 2000, where it was one state, this is 6 states. And at least half of those states have an automatic recount and the other ones have a candidate request. That's why I'm saying that all this jubilation on or anger on either side doesn't even make any sense to me. So you got one side celebrating a projected win, and you got another side copping pleas. It's just like, it's a very odd thing to observe, man. Maybe I've just been studying history for too long, because I try to keep a cool head about things until they're finalized. This whole thing is not finalized, man. It is far from over. And 20 years ago, people did the same exact thing with the Bush v. Gore case. There was a big uproar. You know, there's that famous thing, and I don't know if you ever watched that 9/11 Fahrenheit movie with Michael Moore.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened when after like the Supreme Court made the decision, and then like they had the caravan going to the White House to inaugurate George Bush and all that?
Yeah, I'm trying. It's been a while, but remind me.
Oh, well, they were being attacked. The same thing with the riots. You don't remember all that rioting? You got to look at the footage.
Yeah.
It's anyone that has never seen that Fahrenheit 9/11 movie. It's on like Netflix. You guys should check it out, man. I watched it, and I was kind of amazed about how much rioting it was even back then. Because people were very upset, even though that was a case that was decided by the Supreme Court. So this is nothing new, but everyone tries to like overblow the rioting, not understanding that. Guess in my state, it cost, I think, what was it, like $50 million of destruction, right? And the taxpayers have to pay for all that damage because the feds refused to bail them out. You see what I'm saying? And it was all damage to urban areas, urban buildings. There was one building that housed the subway that I used to go to, and that housed the East African restaurant and a tax place that was not too far from my place where I lived. They they blew up the entire damn building, bro. When you drive past, it's nothing but rubble. The whole block is rubble. It was not reported. Okay, the news reported that it was $50 million of damage, but the story you guys got is not the true story. There were whole buildings blown up that belonged to like regular folks, black folks, man, that were blown up completely. And there's no refund coming for them from the taxpayers, the federal taxpayers at least, because they applied for the grant and the reimbursement from the feds, and the feds said, no, you had a chance to control this damage. Why should taxpayers living in Denver or California, any other state where there was no damage, pay for damage in your state? So they rejected that application. So that 50 million price tag falls on the Minnesota taxpayers and the Wisconsin taxpayers in those scenarios.
Yeah, and well, before I continue, shout out to Club Fortune, Osa Ragi, with the $5 super chat. This election exposed a lot of people. Self-improvement is the way to go. Stop hype writing of politicians to help you excel. And, and another thing I noticed here, if a black man goes into racial and runs for politics, then he may need to get an Afro-Latino or a non-ADOS BW. I think that's the best strategy going forward at this point. And to be honest, I wouldn't blame anyone who took that strategy, because I mean, if in America, look, unless you're running from like, say, governor of like Hawaii or something as a black man, or even Alaska, like in most states, they aren't feeling the kind of interracial relationships when a black man is there. Although, and here's what I also want to ask you, and this is a good way to segment to our second part of this conversation, in that, what do we have to do next? We can't just sit around, pout and moan and bitch and whine that Donald Trump is looking like he's losing. I'm not going to even say he lost, but it's not looking good for him right now, at the very least. But, and I actually have a reason. I actually have a theory behind that. I'm assuming you were here earlier when I said a lot of these guys who were pro-Trump weren't pro-Trump because of policies and legitimate policies that the left is pushing against black men, but it's because a lot of them fear that they will be held accountable by the same females that they mess with, or that they'll be more vulnerable to things such as child support, alimony, etc., by those same females, the daggles that they mess with. And that a lot of these guys seem to have a pattern of, one, either not getting the daggles respect, not getting her submission, or used to get the submission, but just to get it taken away, they got caught up, they were just, or whatever. And these same guys have a tendency to not be able to do well outside of their race. So they are literally reliant on American BWs, particularly the Daggle variety, for their sexual market value. And since they don't have that position, or they don't have that sway or swag, or if they ever had it, then all of a sudden they're voting for Trump just to spite these a lot of American BWs and just make it submit. And it's silly when I say it like this.
Yeah, it is kind of silly. You're asking the wrong person, though, Clutch, because me growing up in the upper Midwest, man, I've grown up in an environment where I've never known anything but access to women from different groups. So for me, it's just like, that's not even my reality. I think that's more of a reality for those brothers that are like in the deep South or in certain places on the Eastern Seaboard. But yeah, I've never lived in an environment like that where it wasn't access to like women of different cultures. And like I just said, the woman I'm dealing with right now, she's an East Indian woman and she's South Indian, okay? So she's very dark brown. And before her, I was dealing with an Ethiopian woman and a Somali woman. So it's like, I'm always involved with women of different racial groups. American Black women I've dated, they've been hot and cool. Because again, it all depends on your own personal vibe, bro. Like if you don't already have your own code of living and your own vibe and you're encountering women, you're just falling into their frame. So the minute you're talking about, they're still falling into that matriarchal frame because you're pedestalizing women that do not pedestalize you. The only woman that you should be pedestalizing is your mother, your sister, or the woman that has your children and has the ring on her finger. Outside of that, every other woman is just either a supplement at best and a liability at worst. That's how I see it, bro. So it's like, for me, I can't even relate to that kind of way of thinking because I've never pedestalized American Black woman, white woman, any woman. The only woman I'm pedestalizing, the one that's opening her legs to me, bro. You ain't my mama. You're not a sister or a female cousin or something like that. The only question is, are we fucking or not? Because I'm not going to be working for no Black woman, or anything like that. So they don't have any control of me from the work perspective. So I can't even relate to that kind of person, to be honest with you.
And right now we have the president-elect, at least according to the media, Joe Biden speaking. Let's listen in.
And the people who brought me the dance, Delawareans. I see my buddy Senator Tom Carper down there, and I think the governor's around. And is that Ruth Ann? And that former Governor Ruth Ann Minner. Most importantly, my sisters-in-law and my sister Valerie. Anyway. Folks, the people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory, a convincing victory, a victory for we the people. We've won with the most votes ever cast on presidential ticket in the history of the nation. 74 million. What I must admit has surprised me. Tonight, we're seeing all over this nation, all cities and all parts of the country, indeed across the world, an outpouring of joy, of hope, renewed faith in tomorrow, bring a better day. And I'm humbled by the trust and confidence you placed in me. I pledge to be a president who seeks not to divide, but unify. Who doesn't see red states and blue states, only sees the United States. And work with all my heart, with the confidence of the whole people, to win the confidence of all of you. And for that is what America, I believe, is about. It's about people. And that's what our administration will be all about. I sought this office to restore the soul of America, to rebuild the backbone of this nation, the middle class, and to make America respected around the world again. And to unite us here at home. It's the honor of my lifetime that so many millions of Americans have voted for that vision. And now the work of making that vision is real. It's a task, the task of our time. Folks, as I said many times before, I'm Jill's husband. And I would not be here without her love and tireless support of Jill and my son Hunter and Ashley, my daughter, and all our grandchildren and their spouses and all our family. They're my heart. Jill's a mom, a military mom, an educator. She has dedicated her life to education, but teaching isn't just what she does, it's who she is. For American educators, this is a great day for y'all. You're going to have one of your own in the White House. And Jill's going to make a great first lady. I'm so proud of her. Well, I'll have the honor of serving with the fantastic vice president who you just heard from, Kamala Harris, who makes history as the first woman, first black woman, the first woman from South Asian descent, the first daughter of an immigrant ever elected in this country. Don't tell me it's not possible in the United States. It's long overdue. And we're reminded tonight of those who fought so hard for so many years to make this happen. Once again, America's bent the arc of the moral universe more toward justice. Kamala, Doug, like it or not, your family, you become an honorary Biden, there's no way out. All those of you who volunteered and worked the polls in the middle of this pandemic, local elected officials, you deserve a special thanks from the entire nation. And to my campaign team and all the volunteers and all who gave so much of themselves to make this moment possible, I owe you. I owe you. I owe you everything. And all those who supported us, I'm proud of the campaign we built and ran. I'm proud of the coalition we put together, the broadest and most diverse coalition in history. Democrats, Republicans, independents, progressives, moderates, conservatives, young, old, urban, suburban, rural, gay, straight, transgender, white, Latino, Asian, Native American. I mean it, especially those moments, and especially those moments where this campaign was at its lowest ebb. The African-American community stood up again for me. You've always had my back, and I'll have yours. I said at the outset, I wanted to represent this campaign, to represent and look like America. We've done that. Now that's what I want the administration to look like and act like. For all those of you who voted for President Trump, I understand the disappointment tonight. I've lost a couple times myself, but now let's give each other a chance. It's time to put away the harsh rhetoric, lower the temperature, see each other again, listen to each other again. And to make progress, we have to stop treating our opponents as our enemies. They are not our enemies. They are Americans. They are Americans. The Bible tells us to everything there is a season, a time to build, a time to reap, and a time to sow, and a time to heal. This is the time to heal in America. Now this campaign is over. What is the will of the people? What is our mandate? I believe it's this. Americans have called upon us to marshal the forces of decency, the forces of fairness, marshal the forces of science, and the forces of hope in the great battles of our time. The battle to control the virus, the battle to build prosperity, the battle to secure your family's health care, the battle to achieve racial justice and root out systemic racism in this country, and the battle to save our planet by getting climate under control, the battle to restore decency, defend democracy, and give everybody in this country a fair shot. That's all they're asking for, a fair shot. Folks, our work begins with getting COVID under control. We cannot repair the economy, restore our vitality, or relish life's most precious moments, hugging our grandchildren, our children, our birthdays, weddings, graduations, all the moments that matter most to us until we get it under control. On Monday, I will name a group of leading scientists and experts as transition advisors to help take the Biden-Harris COVID plan and convert it into an action blueprint that will start on January the 20th, 2021. That plan will be built on bedrock science. It will be constructed out of compassion, empathy, and concern. I will spare no effort, none, or any commitment to turn around this pandemic. Folks, I'm a proud Democrat, but I will govern as an American president. I'll work as hard for those who didn't vote for me as those who did. Let this grim era of demonization in America begin to end here and now. The refusal of Democrats and Republicans to cooperate with one another, it's not some mysterious force beyond our control. It's a decision, a choice we make. And if we can decide not to cooperate, then we can decide to cooperate. And I believe that this is part of the mandate given to us from the American people. They want us to cooperate in their interest. And that's the choice I'll make. And I'll call on Congress, Democrats and Republicans alike, to make that choice with me. The American story is about slow yet steadily widening the opportunities in America. And make no mistake, too many dreams have been deferred for too long. We must make the promise of the country real for everybody, no matter their race, their ethnicity, their faith, their identity, or their disability. Folks, America has always been shaped by inflection points, by moments in time where we've made hard decisions about who we are and what we want to be. Lincoln in 1860, coming to save the Union. FDR in 1932, promising a beleaguered country a new deal. JFK in 1960, pledging a new frontier. And 12 years ago, when Barack Obama made history, he told us, yes, we can. Well, folks, we stand at an inflection point. We have an opportunity to defeat despair, to build a nation of prosperity and purpose. We can do it. I know we can. I've long talked about the battle for the soul of America. We must restore the soul of America. Our nation is shaped by the constant battle between our better angels and our darkest impulses. And what presidents say in this battle matters. It's time for our better angels to prevail. Tonight, the whole world is watching America. And I believe at our best, America is a beacon for the globe. We will not lead. We will lead not only by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. I've always believed, many of you heard me say it, I've always believed we can define America in one word: possibilities. That in America, everyone should be given an opportunity to go as far as their dreams and God-given ability will take them. You see, I believe in the possibilities of this country. We're always looking ahead to an America that's freer and more just, ahead to an America that creates jobs with dignity and respect, ahead of America that cures diseases like cancer and Alzheimer's, ahead to an America that never leaves anyone behind, ahead of America that never gives up. never gives in. This is a great nation. It's always been a bad bet to bet against America. We're good people. This is the United States of America. And there's never been anything we've been not able to do when we've done it together. Folks, in the last days of the campaign, I began thinking about a hymn that means a lot to me and my family, particularly my deceased son, Bo. It captures the faith that sustains me, which I believe sustains America. And I hope it can provide some comfort and solace to 230,000 Americans who've lost a loved one to this terrible virus this year. My heart goes out to each and every one of you. Hopefully this hymn gives you solace as well. It goes like this. And he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, and make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. And now together, on eagle's wings, we embark on the work that God and history have called upon us to do, with full hearts and steady hands, with faith in America and in each other, with love of country, a thirst for justice. Let us be the nation that we know we can be, a nation united, a nation strengthened, a nation healed. The United States of America, ladies and gentlemen, there's never been anything we've tried we've not been able to do. So remember, as our grandpapa used to say when I walked out of his home when I was a kid up in Scranton, he said, "Joey, keep the faith." And our grandmother, when she was alive, she yelled, "No, Joey, spread it. Spread the faith. God love you all. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops." Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, yeah, we aren't going to get any copyright strikes. Okay, so that was President-elect Joe Biden speaking. Let me just mute this. We'll just watch it from mute. All right, so King Sigma, I noticed that there was some discussions in the chat. I noticed you said something that was pretty interesting. Well, first of all, do you want to chat on this response in general?
I don't have anything to say to that, man. You know, again, this is just typical status quo corporatist memes. I mean, it's nothing that we didn't get between 2008 to 2016. So it's nothing different except that you had a younger, more vibrant president in Barack Obama. And now you have his older, much older sidekick that may be sliding into a state of dementia. So besides that aspect of it, I'm at a point, bro, where it's like, I don't care about what politicians say. All I want to see is policies. And that's about it. I don't care what even Donald Trump was saying. All I care about is what policies have you put into place and how are you going to build on what you've already done? I don't want to be promised anything. What have you done? And how would you build on the current track record that you already have? So basically, if we're going by that with Biden, as a Native Black American man, there's nothing in it for me at all. I mean, at all. And I'm telling you right now, having worked in state government for 6 years, I've seen the transition from the few black men that I worked with when I first came in, that were older black men that were retiring my first year in, that trained me in, mentored me. And I've seen how over 6 years, all I see coming in as far as like non-whites are mostly Asians, who are the smallest population in America, damn near. But somehow they're getting all these stable jobs. And then I'll see a couple Africans as well. But as far as like Native Black American men, maybe there'll be a couple American Black women, but even they are being shifted out pretty quickly. And I'm thinking that now, if I'm there 2 or 3 years from now, which I won't, because I'll be self-employed fully in the next 2 years, but let's say that I do still end up being within that role, I wouldn't be surprised if Latinos are brought into what has been called the sanctuary states for the last 30 years. Don't be surprised if those states are reopened under Biden and they bring in floods and floods of Latinos to those states. And you start seeing them get fast tracked into these different kind of jobs and programs or whatever. So I'm just very realistic about what's coming. Now, I know that the majority that voted for Biden, they said we voted against Trump. You didn't vote against Trump, because guess what? Even if Trump loses he still goes back to his wealth. He'll write memoirs. He'll buy his own little TV station or internet service or whatever to replace what Fox News is losing. It'll be like a Bert meets Fox News kind of thing. He'll still be Donald Trump. His children will still be rich and more famous now than ever. They'll go on their book tours. They'll do the memoirs. But the people that are claiming some kind of victory, what are you going to get out of this victory? And I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get anything. There's a program that HUD had that under Secretary Dr. Ben Carson was eliminated because it harmed Native Americans of all races. Under that HUD program and the sanctuary state policy, non-Native Americans were given priority as refugee immigrants in public housing and in Section 8 housing. In cities like New York, they have waiting lists of 5 to 7 years. But because of that special program, before Trump came in, they gave priority to non-Americans who may have just now moved in to the United States, while Native Americans were living in homeless shelters on the streets. These are programs that the media never talked about. See what I'm saying? They never talked about little things that the Trump administration did to improve conditions for Native American people here in this country, Native born. They never talked about that. It was always about Trump, 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 but never about different kind of policies, like the Dear Colleague policy that was overturned at the collegiate level. They didn't talk about none of this. And I'm telling you people all right now, this shit is about to go into pure hyperdrive. Okay? Hyperdrive. And because of the value that they're going to place on their Latino vote, all of these black women and the few black men that you see on these news networks, they're all going to be replaced. They're all going to be replaced by Latino men and women, Asian men and women, and maybe a few biracials and foreign black.
No, I was just kidding with light skin spermicide, but no, yeah, I completely agree with the following assessment. And one thing I wanted to point out was your comment about the CW, as the pow 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 we're food fight, the national food fight, because if you say the C and the W word in one statement, then that might trigger something and trigger the algorithm to shadow ban me further. But are you concerned of any sort of national food fight occurring?
Now, when you say concern, like, what do you mean exactly?
Like in any case of, say, those on the right, the MAGA crowd, living up to what they would say about if they steal the election from Trump, then we will we will lead a national food fight.
No, I'm not concerned about it, even if it does happen, because again, one of the things about living in a country, every generation is going to have moments that define them. Our great grandparents had to fight, in the uncivil war. There's been different situations like World War II, whatever. COVID is really a defining moment for our generation. And if it does come to a situation where America might break up in a civil war, well, that's the cost of living in a country, no matter where you are on the planet, whether you're under communistic rule, aristocratic rule, oligarchy, a republic, whatever. There are costs to living in a nation because people and creatures have different kinds of Darwinian motives, greed, power, right? So if it ends up being that one of the costs of living in a republic is that you have to bear arms to protect your own rights, so that's just what's going to happen. I've definitely thought about that scenario, bro. I have. I'm not concerned because I've already accepted a long time ago that's just the cost of living. There is no such thing as freedom. And we shouldn't even use the word freedom. We need to use the cost benefit them or cost them, because there's always a price to pay, man. And one of the prices that you have to pay is that in a country as polarized as America has become over the last 2 decades, is that it's possible that American Republican experiment, maybe it's time that it's going to expire. And every time that a republic has expired, it's always been from internal corruption. Because I found myself reading The Decline of Rome over the last year and looking at what I was asking myself. I said, everyone talks about ancient Rome being so great. Why did it collapse? And it started with the corruption at the political level. First, it was with the monarchies. Then the monarchy was replaced by the Senate Republic. And then eventually even the Senate Republic, through its own corruption, destroyed itself, which brought in Caesarism, or what we would call, like a military dictatorship police state. So my thought is that, that's why I want a legitimate recount, because I don't want half of the country like it was in Bush v. Gore type of situation. I don't want that again, because we know that one of the things that Bush v. Gore did, if it hadn't been for the 9/11 event, there would have been that level of possible civil war, but that became like a unifying thing. It's like an external war. So, this thing could be very bad. I'm not concerned because I accept that pleasure and the prosperity that we get to enjoy. This thing is, someone always has to pay the right, bro. Someone always has to pay for that right. And if you and I have to pay the right and we have to fight our freedoms, then that's just what we have to do. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if those militias all throughout the country united themselves believing that this election was stolen because the media is playing a very dangerous game. No one should have been declaring anything. I think that it's immoral, and I think that it's a very bad for our country that media outlets declare winners of states at all before all the votes are counted. That's why I don't even watch the election when they're doing that, bro. Like, they'll have like 1% of like the state of Montana for such and such. This is stupid because they're not concerned about you and I, the working people, the rank and file people. They're only concerned about ratings and their shareholders. And you know that right now they're losing a lot of their money with the networks. ESPN just laid off 300 people yesterday. Isn't that interesting? 200 people just got laid off from ESPN. And this is a trend that's been going on with ESPN for 2 years because they're losing so much market share and consumer base. So these networks are willing to do anything to keep their ratings going. So they don't care about your safety or your future. They care about ratings. As long as it doesn't touch their property, as long as it doesn't reach their private life, that's when they become concerned about it. But as long as it's out here in urban America, which none of them live within 10 miles of the city anyway, they just don't care, man. But yeah, that scenario could happen. I've thought about it. Because you got half of the country that really believe, I mean, really, really, truly believe. And you got to understand, this is all happening in the middle of COVID. There's a lot of pent up anger. There's a lot of adrenaline out there. So I wouldn't be surprised. It all depends on what happens next week with Trump. So we just saw this theatrics that you just played, right? But here's the question. What happens next? What is Trump and his team thinking as they watch this right now? They already said, they demanded, hey, don't declare a projected winner. They asked the networks not to do that. Let this thing play out with the recount. The network said, we got to get the ratings while they're hot, right? So the question becomes, on Monday morning, what does Donald Trump do? And what does his team do as far as like the 6 potential recounts and as far as his reaction to this declaration? If Trump comes out, remember, he's still the president until January 20th, right? Do we understand that there are emergency powers that have been given to the president with the approval of bipartisanship Congress, the Patriot Act, the National Emergency Act, the Election Acts? These things give a lot of power to presidents if they feel there's a national security threat. What happens if on Monday Donald Trump says, this is a damn coup? He's still the president. He still has all those executive powers. He could declare martial law if he wanted to, saying that these people are doing a damn coup in our country. Do you realize that Mexico and a handful of Brazil and other countries, they said that those presidents of those countries said, we will not intercede or support any president until there's a recount. That was just said today. Mexico, Brazil. Wouldn't you think that Mexico would have sided with Biden considering all the rhetoric that Trump had against Mexico? But they still said we're not interceding because the Mexican governor, he was in a very similar situation to Trump where they did something like this. So the question becomes, how does Trump and his team react on Monday? Again, he has certain presidential powers, and one of the biggest one is a national security threat. What is more of a national security threat than an attempted coup? And he has a big following out there. Let's not act, again, his numbers increased across the board with except one group. White male support for Trump dropped about 2%. But across the board, it increased with other groups. So this shit is literally split down the center. You see what I'm saying? So this ain't no situation where you got like 70% of the country is for one guy and 30% for the other guy, and it's easily a plurality, but it's a situation where it's right split down to even like 50-50 damn near from the looks of it. And the people that are on Biden's team that's urban America, the ones that can't survive without rural America. So the question becomes, of these two constituencies, and you know that rural support that Trump has, which one can live off the land, can produce off the land, and which one is dependent on those that produce from the land and develop the land? I think that the cosmopolitan people in urban America have more of a severe disadvantage than those that are accustomed to living off the land. So the shit could get real ugly depending on what happens with Donald Trump on Monday. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Xanatos. I don't see this guy conceding until he's exhausted all his alternatives. I just don't see it. But it could happen. But I just don't see it at this point, man.
And to be honest, I do not see Trump just taking the knee, bowing the knee anytime soon to any of these statistics, these not going to say facts, but these, this map, as far as Trump is concerned, it's null and void, at least when it comes to Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and as well as Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona. So there's going to be 6 states that we are still going to pay attention to at this point in regards of what happens. Will the Supreme Court push a recount? Because I know the states of Michigan, I think Wisconsin too, their courts have thrown out the lawsuit that Donald Trump has launched against these states to either do a recount or to stop the count of anything that was received after the closing of the polls on election day. As far as this is concerned, this isn't over yet. This is to be continued. I know we just saw Joe Biden made his, according to the media, made his first presidential elect speech, but this has too many ways that this can go. This has too many questions, and I'm not even going into the conspiratorial kind of stuff like I showed you all earlier. I'm talking about the legal stuff that Trump can do in order to force certain states to recount the ballot. And at this point, as you said, the white male support did slip by about 2%, but what the white female support, I'm interested in wondering how much of that slipped. Yes, we had support among blacks and Latinos, particularly the male. Men.
I know with white women it increased by like 3 or 4%. That's the shocker of this whole thing, was the white woman and the black women's vote. Black women's vote for Trump doubled. Literally, they had the biggest increase was American black women. White women's increased by like 3 or 4%. See, that's what's so shocking about it. And then another thing that's just unbelievable to me, they said that this was the highest voter turnout in the history of America for a candidate that had no enthusiasm, for a candidate that lost the first 2 primary races, which no presidential elect has ever lost and won. There's so many questions, you see what I'm saying? And that's why, for me, I just rather see those 6 states do the recount over the next 2 weeks, get the official number, and at that point, if Trump says he appeals to the Supreme Court and they reject it, and then his last thing will be this. Those 5 of those 6 states have GOP-controlled state legislatures, okay? They control the electoral college process. Now, if those 5 of 6 states say, hey, Trump, look it, we did the recount, you lost. You appealed to the Supreme Court, they rejected your case. We are going to validate the electoral vote. That's it, unless... So that's the legal part. Those are all the legal options left. So you got Supreme Court, you got the recount, Supreme Court, and the state legislatures themselves. So if he exhausts all those, and then it comes to a situation where his own party, Xanatos, because again, 5 of those 6 states are controlled by GOP legislatures, and they tell him, hey, we did the recount, everything is valid, there's no beyond reasonable fraud or whatever, so we're going to validate these electors. At that point, I mean, he doesn't have the support of the majority. He doesn't have the support of his own party. So anything else that he would do from that standpoint would be on some Julius Caesar type shit. And don't, you can't say that can't happen, because again, it's happened before, and America was literally built off the Roman Republic, and it would almost be like some in poetic justice type thing for America to fall the exact same way that ancient Rome fell, 2,000 years ago or whatever. Because that's exactly how it fell in a scenario like this, where Julius Caesar lost faith in the Republican process, and half of the people at least also lost faith, and he ignited enough people, because a lot of times people are fence sitters, right? So you got like the extreme people on both sides, then you got a lot of people that are in the middle that kind of just go along with whoever's winning, and that's kind of what Julius Caesar did. He knew that the middle is always soft, so he appealed to his extreme side with the military behind him, and the Republican Senate had lost faith in itself, and the people had lost faith in him based on corruption. So that would be his last thing. Is he going to get on that type of tip? I don't think so. But all I'm saying is that we don't know what's going to happen next week, bro. But it would be interesting to see, because Trump is a different cat, right? He's one of these once-in-a-generation kind of figures that comes along that doesn't make any sense. So would I be surprised if his, dyed-in-the-wool followers and fanatical followers joined him, if he came to say that this is a coup and I'm going to invoke national security powers? Would I be shocked? No, I would not. I'm not even going to lie to you. I wouldn't even be shocked. But I don't think it'll happen, though.
No, I don't think I don't think Trump has it in him to push it that far. And I especially don't think that his cult of personality fan base has it in them to really take it to that extreme. Not because they don't support nor believe in him, but just because they don't have enough balls to do so.
Yeah, that is the thing. Like, it is a question, like, because we've all grown up reading the history books, and most people probably never thought they'd even be in a scenario like that. But I don't know. I don't think they have that fortitude. But who knows, bro? Like, no one ever saw the Nazis coming. They didn't take them as serious as they should have. People usually don't take the biggest threat as serious as they should, because it's sometimes like a slow drip, the threat. So the question is, how emboldened? See, we just watched this whole speech with Joe Biden, okay? The question becomes, what is Donald Trump's press conference going to look like, man? You got like Rudy Giuliani and all these guys behind him, Steve Bannon, all these kind of people. And these seem to me the kind of people that are willing to go to the wall. Now, will the rank and file follow him? I don't know. But I know that next week is going to be, oh, man, it's going to be crazy if Trump comes out and his next press conference, he rejects everything that just happened. Because the card that the media and Biden just played, they can't continue to play that card once Trump comes out and says the media doesn't have the power to declare a legal winner, and Joe Biden is not the legal president. He is the media's selection as the president-elect, and we're going to go the legal route. We're talking about a scenario where this country could get split down the middle. I'm dead serious in that scenario. If he comes out and says that, if he comes out and rejects everything that just happened that we just saw, we're talking some Civil War level stuff, bro. Because even in the year 2000, Al Gore didn't really fight Bush on that. He left it to the Supreme Court. It was like a moment of silence while the Supreme Court did their thing. In this scenario, the media is playing this shit to a ratings high because, again, their ratings are falling, their incomes are falling, so they got to squeeze as much drama and suspense out of this as they can. They don't give a shit about the rank and file people. They don't care about the mom and pop stores that burn now. All they care about is shareholders and holding on to their market share. But that's my opinion on it, bro. So that's pretty much my opinion on this whole thing.
It's all good. And the last but not least portion of this part is how should and will we as thinking black men especially, be able to not only survive but thrive and capitalize, not even just thrive, but thrive and capitalize off of a Joe Biden and what a lot of people are saying, the Kamala Harris presidency.
Well, I don't know if you already shared your points with the audience, but I'll give you the last word and I'll just give you mine, and then you can just kind of, end it with yours for the audience. But I have my own personal list that, you know, my uncle always told me to keep. You know, he's like, hey, always have your own personal things that you care about. Just write down. And I wrote down about 10 points in my own little personal agenda that I would hold any political candidates to as I went to vote. And the top 10 on my list were in paternity fraud with the passage of a mandatory DNA testing for all American children born with the opt-out option. So basically, I have always believed that every child born, even for health reasons as well, there should be automatic DNA testing of both of the alleged parents. And there should be an option for the man if he doesn't want to do it. So it should automatically done and paid for by insurance, where every child born, every parent, automatic mandatory, unless the man who doesn't want to know has to opt out. And he, at that point, just like in certain states where you become the father, whoever names on the birth certificate, you take on all responsibility. If later down the line that woman breaks bad and you start to question the paternity, you have signed and waived all your rights. So I think that should be something. I think that we should protect digital sovereignty on free speech grounds, and there should be some kind of digital bill of rights put out there to protect our information that these companies sometimes sell to third parties. Another thing that was on my own personal list was I believe in a flat tax. I think that one of the ways that we could stop a lot of waste is if we had a flat tax for all Americans with an exemption below, like, let's say $25,000. So if you make less than $25,000, you don't pay any taxes because all your money is going to be spent on cost of living expenses anyways, for the most part. But I think a flat tax of something like 15%, it's negotiable 15 to 18% for all Americans, would be a great thing. I really think we reached that point because of how much waste, how much money is taken from American people. Then they're given to these policymakers who end up spending on all kind of wasteful things without any kind of inventory of what they did with the money. So I say give more tax money back to the people and let them spend on the economy and do what they got to do. And I think that there should be the Hyde Amendment or any attempt to reform it where there will be federal dollars taken for abortions. That can't happen. It should be, to me, states should get out of it. The federal government should get out of it. And it should be strictly private funding for abortions. I don't want to see abortion overturned 100%. I like to see that heartbeat bill stuff that the radicals in New York are passing. No sir to that. But as far as like women having that right in, during the first trimester, I'm for that. But it should all be privately funded by individuals and groups that support that. But no tax dollars should go to it. And I believe there should be a patch of a racial profiling act in terms of like how we collect data on those that are arrested, pulled over, and all those things. And those are the basic things that I would say that I support no matter who is the president. And at the time I did support, I do support an end of alimony for any able-bodied persons upon divorce. I don't think anyone that's able to work and that has their cognition should be living off of those that are their exes, ex-husbands, or ex-wives. I think we should just end alimony for everybody moving forward. And I would say my last point would be, the last thing I'm actually going to be taking off my list, but the last thing I was actually pro reparations, but I put that in italics on my list because I was waiting. This was very important for me to see how this election played out because again, that was the big rallying cry from that side of the black majority, right? No reparations, no vote, and all this stuff, no tangibles, no vote. We're standing down. We're going to hold this election hostage with a protest vote. Guess what? It didn't happen. It did not happen for the supermajority, especially for American black women. And they were supposed to be the largest constituency for the men saying that. And 91% said, you know what? We don't need any additional tangibles. We're putting womanhood first above black. So I think that's going to end up being like the kind of like the epithet for the this election is that black women said that women first, not race. And I think that's going to be something that's going to be notable about this moment is that now we moved away from the race-based, from that standpoint, from the political standpoint, to now it's going to become like a political, a-racial environment. And so we can pretty much forget about the whole reparations thing because, again, if there was ever a chance for the black majority to hold the Democrats accountable, it was by making themselves into a swing voter class. The black men has begun that process to becoming a swing voter, but with them getting 90% of the black women vote and them possibly getting in there, that's all they need to bring in enough people to completely water down the need for that black vote. Because again, they pretty much will just say, hey, we'll bring in enough Latinos and other immigrants to wash out the need for the black vote. And that's pretty much it. And it's not like the black women are going to go anywhere. They're not going to run to the Republican Party because their core convictions don't match up with the Republicans for 90% of black women. So they put themselves in a trap now. And that's just like that's where I think this thing's gonna go. So I think that free thinking brothers, get your shit in order, come up with your own agenda, find other men like myself or Xanatos that think like you, and we just have to continue having these conversations and continue to sharpen what we want as individuals, matched it up with other thinking men, and then kind of go from there. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, good opinions, and all of which this is why I like having King Sigma here, because he actually speaks down to the level of policy. And in some cases, policies that I wasn't even aware of. As far as myself, how we can benefit in a Biden-Harris administration include the following. I mean, look, we have to appeal somehow, some way to a group of individuals, a party that, when it comes down to it, they aren't going to thank African Americans for helping them get through. They're going to think, just like how they did with the Alabama runoff Senate race, they're going to give the credit to black women. And with that, as far as the things are concerned, and as far as the favors and that sort of thing, what we need to do from here on out is to not necessarily ride the coattails of black women per se, but we're going to have to make an argument, especially to the likes of Kamala Harris and her ilk, that helping black men ultimately helps black women. However you can build it, whatever argument you can do, whatever policies we need to push, or whatever, whoever we need to back, regardless of party, we need to emphasize this. And then they know it to an extent, but I think there's a good amount of American BWs who see their power contingent on the lack of power black men have. And to an extent, they may have a point, because who knows what will happen after Kamala leaves. At this point, I think Kamala is going to be the last, when she gets in, she's going to be the last voice or the last chance for any black person to have a voice in general. Because after this, it's basically on to the Latinos and Asian.
For the Democrats, at least, because I think for the GOP, if you look at like the way that presidents are chosen, over 80% of all U.S. presidents have been chosen from the governor group or the senatorial group, right? And the other remaining 20% are chosen from some kind of high-level cabinet member of an administration. Those are the only places that presidents have ever come from. And I actually think that if you look at the GOP, they have more Latino and black representatives at the senatorial level and even at the governor level than the Democrats do, which are supposed to be the party of diversity. But the Democrats, they for black, they only had Kamala Harris and Cory Booker. Those are their black senators, and they have no black governors. The GOP has several non-white governors and more, several black senators. So I actually think that the next Republican candidate either is going to be a Latino or a black guy. That's what I think. And I think the next Democratic candidate will actually be a Latino or a Latina, because their governors are actually Latinas. It's female Latinos. So I could see one of those Latina female governors that are a Democrat, or one of those Latina senators like Catherine Cortez Masto for Nevada. She's under the grooming of Harry Reid. Don't be shocked if you start to hear her name a lot in the next 2 or 4 years for 2024. So it depends on if they get in or not. We'll see. But thanks for having me on, Xanatos, man. I'll tune in for your last segment. This is a great discussion. I'm glad you put it up, and we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks. But like I said, man, don't be surprised if we're looking 2 or 3 weeks And this thing is still going on. I think that these cats are celebrating way too early. But with that, man, you have a good night and a good weekend, bro.
All right, you too, King Sigma, and it's always a pleasure having you on as usual. So, yeah, just to wrap this up, I know, and I sent out the link. So, as far as the haters are concerned, what happened to all that Smoking Solo TV 84's channel, huh? Yeah, and shout out to my boy Solo. Shout out to Sigma as well. You had a lot of people who were calling me Maggles, and I was mimicking Democratic talking points when I was cooking a lot of Trump supporters basically Trump supporters who were defending Trump and all the chicanery that Trump did, specifically those who didn't know any sort of policy or any sort of procedure politically. These were the guys who were just pissed off that Donald Trump, pissed off at black women because the Democrats were backing them, and they were basically trying to dodge child support or dodge whatever, or trying to mess with the Daggle without these Daggle consequences. You want that big booty Bonquisha so damn bad, then you make her submit in ways that every other group does. And that's through getting power or putting in work or buying these politicians via the K Street lobbyists or making your presence or your lack of presence felt. That's how you really get your big booty Keisha dream. That's how you get your BET uncut dream, all right? With the French toast. Shout to C Boogie. These keyboard warriors, exactly. The haters exactly, Jessica X. The haters very rarely show up. And I dropped the link multiple times for them to show up. I was waiting to show. I think the cupcake dude showed up, but he dropped off because, I don't know, ADHD. But yeah, as far as that's concerned, and exactly, most aren't articulate enough to express their opinions. And I know I was sort of meandering throughout the day. I was bounced from point to point, but I can tell you this. I'm way more articulate than a lot of the haters that were talking trash in Solo TV 84 stream earlier today. And you actually had someone in King Sigma who was more articulate than me today with stating why he voted for Trump, what is the analysis behind all this show, all this bread and circus, which is what we basically saw with the Biden speech and that sort of thing, and how we as thinking black men can survive, thrive, and capitalize in what looks to be an upcoming Biden and Harris administration. Now, what do I think we need to do? Well, one thing I already stated was we need to appeal to whoever's in charge to say, hey, look, our concerns should be addressed because this will ultimately help black women, right? Now, there are groups who will pay attention to us and will push that because, it's whatever helps black women helps all women, believe all women, and that sort of thing. All right, cool. So you do have another group of individuals who, and I hate to say this, they propped up a certain group, not all American black women, obviously not. A lot of them, for the most part, care about black men, but you do have a group of individuals who believe that American BWs were propped up in order to keep black men down. And you do have a group of people who are in power who sort of bring validity to that argument. And what will happen now, or if not now, then within the next, I say, 10 to 15 years, is that a lot of these guys, or a lot of these individuals, will start looking at this American BW and say, well, it looks like you don't have as much sway, control, and watt power over BMs as you used to. Please explain this. And with little to no explanations that the certain group of American BWs will have, I think that the powers that be will basically rescind a lot of the benefits and a lot of the privileges that they've been given American BWs. Because a lot of them, particularly the ones that were propped up in order to hold black men down, they have no power. So why do we need them? We can just get rid of them. I think that is going to happen. That will be a realistic. That will be something that will happen for the next decade or so. Also, as far as ways in order to prosper, look, stick to the basics. Be about your money. Be about your grind. hustle, not even hustle, because that just has a hood connotation to it. I'm sorry. Sorry for all you guys who love to push hustle this and hustle that. Look, that has a hood connotation to it. I'm not trying to touch it. But nonetheless, act as if Richard Spencer is in office. That's the mentality that you have to have as a thinking black man, especially if these individuals are so anti-black male, then you need to put your head down, bust your ass, and do whatever it takes in order for you to be inoculated against any sort of policy, whether it's for American VWs or anti-BMs, whatever they do. Do whatever it takes in order to be immune, no pun intended, with the beer flu, against such policies. And whether it's giving up on that big booty Keisha BET uncut dream that a lot of you have, or not having these women in such compromised positions where your game and your mouthpiece and all this other direct talk, man, I want to ride your, I want to clean your gutter, and like all this other silly game stuff. Games are done. Time for games are done. Time for games are over. Time for games has been over. But a lot of these guys still feel as if, if Trump had 4 more years, we would have gotten rid of all this welfare and this title, all whatever, and then we can just go at women however we want with little impunity. And that's what a lot of guys want. That's honestly what a lot of these guys are. And I think that's what triggered a lot of guys. But as far as how we as men, as thinking men, especially thinking black men, can improve, we got to operate as if no one in Congress is there for our best interest. That's how we have to operate. That's how we have to go by. That's what we have to go by. That's basically the mentality that you have to have, and that we have to have, is that we are all that we have. And quite frankly, I mean, it's slowly looking like that at this point. I know there were some black men in the crowd cheering on Biden and Harris and that sort of thing. As King Sigma said, they'll learn. They'll learn one way or another. And I guess that's what the Manosphere is here for. Once they learn, once they get their wake-up call, the smart ones will start trying to find answers, and that's when they'll run into the likes of myself, King Sigma, Soul TV, who I was on earlier, and a couple of others. And even in the mainstream Manosphere, your Donovan Sharps, Coach Greg Adams, Rollo Tomasi, your Greg Coopers, your whoever. These are the guys that will be here after these men realize that not a lot of people on, whether it's women or men, have your best interest as a man. That's one of the main reasons why I decided to vote for Donald Trump. Not because I liked his bravado. Honestly, I couldn't care for that. That to me screams LDE, not BDE, but LDE, and ED, honestly. Because, I mean, look, if you look at Melania's face throughout these past 4 years, is that the face of someone who's really happy to be with the guy she's with, or even getting satisfied? Yeah, I mean, it's just like these daggos. These daggos may not like the guys that they're with, these Pookie and them, but the one reason why they stay around is because, girl, he laid it down, though. Does Melania look like the kind of chick who is being laid down good in the bedroom? Let's be honest. And I know that's going to be something else that triggers the alt-right and these boys out here who are true MAGA supporters to the bitter end, because they see themselves through Trump vicariously. And if you tell them that, man, his bedroom's so suck. And if nobody shows up now, if no hater shows up now after I said that, then you all are some real keyboard warriors, some call keyboard warriors. So other than that, you got to operate as if no one is out to help you, no one is out to save you, no one is out to assist you. And if you want to play that political game, you got to maneuver it to the point in which you have to appeal to the people who do have power, which are these women. And regardless of how you feel about it, they did the work in order to gain that power. Decades of work. And yeah, feminism was a big part of that work. And yes, there were a lot of women who sacrificed, millions, billions of dollars and millions of hours with thousands of tears and even hundreds of lives to get what they have. The question now is, you men, thinking men, Manosphere men, are you willing to sacrifice the same in order to get back what you had? Or are you just going to sit around and CopeMax? And also, before we go, remember, Kamala Harris, yeah, she's in an interracial relationship. She has a zaddy. She successfully has zaddy, and she's loving every minute of it, I'm sure. I'm not sure if they have kids. I don't think they did have kids. Maybe like grown kids. I'm not sure if she didn't have children, but nonetheless, Loving versus Virginia, when they passed that, notice which group of individuals between black men and black women benefited more from that inadvertently. It wasn't the black females who all of a sudden had these high interracial marriage rates, although it did increase. It was black men who benefited. And who is to say that a Kamala Harris presidency wouldn't have an inadvertent effect on helping black men to be checked out by women outside the race? You get my point? Because remember, Kamala Harris is half black and half South Asian. And what I've been noticing, at least where I live, is that even though you have a lot of the East Asians are still in that alt-right stuff, alt-right white boy worshiping crap, a lot of the Indian women here, well, I should say South Asian women here, they don't have as much of an anti-black male prerogative. I've dated two. I know it's not too much, but I've dated two. Actually, three chicks alone in my lifetime I've been with from one South Asian country. That's a lot more than what a lot of white guys can even say. I think four. Well, yeah, exactly. And I'm no stranger to South Asian women, and a lot of them do, believe it or not, do check out brothers. It may not show, might not be mainstream, but a lot of people say, well, the Latinos are checking out black men. Yeah, that's going to be true, and that's also always going to be true because of multiple things. You have your black people are by proximity are closer to Latinos than they are even whites and Asians. Black people are more socioeconomically closer to Latinos than they are to whites and Asians. Culture-wise, it's pretty similar. There's a reason why you had a lot of Latinos supporting Trump. I mean, Trump had that swag, just like the kind of swag that they're used to in those Latino countries, that bravado, that leadership, along with black men. And alongside that, I mean, yeah, of course you're going to have that Latina black piece where, a good amount of them won't mind checking out black men, especially if he passes the brown paper tag test, light skin supremacy. Come on. But the Indians, the South Asians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans, Bangladeshis, I would watch their behavior for the next decade and how they see black men. We've already seen it with the Kim Kardashian trend of Armenians and Persians or just Middle Easterners checking black men out, particularly if you have money, but who knows? I like to see this from the glass half full perspective. And that's the reason why I say you got to join the elite. If you want any sort of success with women outside your race and to create beautiful biracial children like Jessica X, join the elite. Get off the baby kid nonsense. Stop trying to play Renaissance gangsta. Stop trying to reenact the war on South Central, South Side, South Southeast. All right? No, none of this reenactment of gang battles that you saw in these thug movies in the 90s. Enough of that. Enough trying to be a LARP thug, like, man, no, me sure, no, me, no. None of being the era of little net is done. Little net is going by the way of the dinosaur. I'm telling you guys. And then you got other guys who's trying to be like little net and then wonder why everybody hates you. No, people are tired of little net. See, at least Keisha and them has some sort of power between Obama, Michelle Obama, and Kamala Harris. They may have some sort of power, particularly the professional Keishas. I'll give them that. But little net, little man, little twin. Hell, you see half of these man and little twins complaining that Trump lost because part of it is because they're just trying to duck any sort of either they're trying to duck child support or whatever, or they don't want their women to gain some sort of perceived advantage of them and trying to get all mousy and all sassy and crap. They want the sass gone, and I think that the Trump administration would negate the sass, and allow them to have less game for more ass. Well, if these 4 years of Trump haven't proven to you that even a Republican president who is pro-man and pro-grabbing by the you-know-what, if that didn't stop Me Too, if that didn't stop the pink hat marchers on Washington, if that didn't stop Hot Girl Summer, and if that didn't stop WAP, then nothing external is going to change your scenario or change your circumstance when it comes to women. Only you can change your circumstance, and only you can determine how women see you as. And Jessica X asked me a question. I think that was towards me. Am I anti-Manosphere? Well, I am. See, that's the thing. I don't rock completely with all the things that the Manosphere says. I do have sympathy for Manosphere dudes who are dealing with legitimate stuff, like unfair child support laws, unfair marriage laws. And, those things need to be addressed, and those things need to really, Dave Chappelle's on freaking Chappelle on Saturday Night Live tonight. All right, cool. All right. So, I'll ask that question later on, Jessica, but hold on. Let me answer this pivotal question. Am I anti-Manosphere? I am against the extremist rhetoric when it comes to them crapping on women just for the sake of crapping on women. We in this channel, I'm sure you're probably new here, but we in this channel, what I like to do is focus more on what we can do to improve ourselves so that the women who may hate us, may consider us educated lames, whatever, or dorks, whatever, that they do not have any sort of effect in our lives, whether it's sex life, work life, housing life, just anything. A lot of these guys who are in the Manosphere who are upset have given women too much power to the point in that they're relying on them, not just when it comes to their sex life, but every aspect of their lives. Hell, you have some of these guys who still live with their mama or their baby mama or whoever, and or big mama. Don't even start on big mama, but yeah. Or they're relying on big mama to die out so that they can inherit the house. But nonetheless, I think a lot of these guys are in the Manosphere. We talk all this feminism stuff. I think a lot of them, if we really look under the hood or under the hood of the car, metaphorically speaking, that these guys, it'll be easy to see why a lot of these guys are pissed off at women. It's because they haven't worked on themselves. And that's part of the Manosphere I am against. Those who are unaccountable, who don't want to do their part in order to help themselves as much as they can. That is the part of Manosphere I am against. And a lot of these guys, you'll be the same ones who will talk trash to you, saying, man, why you want self-improve, man? You want self-improve for hoes? You want to down your hoes? Huh? But these will be the same guys who will super chat all sorts of first female they see that that looks pretty and doesn't speak like a scraggle-aggle. The hypocrisy is what I'm against. The laziness is what I'm against. The extremist rhetoric, in some cases, violent language against all black women, that's what I'm against. And then you have other people on the hard left who won't quote me on this, but they'll try to slice it up and slice up pieces when I say something that might be a bit salacious, which is why I do not like the hard left and the hard right. I mean, these are two sides of the same coin, and neither of these sides want any sort of accountability. They don't want to hold either their women accountable or themselves accountable or whatever. I think a lot of this just deals with a group of people on two sides who basically just want the entitlement or the right to be lazy. And it shows. The left wants to help women be lazy and the right wants to help men be lazy. And that's why I think that's the main reason why we have these voting patterns as we see here, particularly in the States. So also Southeast Asian women love us. Oh yeah, that's another group. So yeah, so with that, let me see what else you got here. Oh, look, who's Little Nit Nit? Who's Little Nit Nit? Little Nit Nit. All right. Well, Little Nit Nit is just I came up with it first. So anyone comes up with Little Nit Nit, you know where you heard it from first. But Little Nit Nit is just another name of a hood name of like it's like Pookie and Ray Ray. Pookie, Ray Ray. I like to call it Man Man, Little Twin. Because it was just the names I heard growing up, particularly when I was deep in the heart of Southeast DC. Yeah, trust me. It was one time in which I was there. I mean, not living there, but, I spent plenty of time there with people. I'll just leave that at. But, yeah, Little Nit Nit is just, it's just the homeboy, Man, Little Twin, Pookie, and Ray Ray. And, Little Nit Nit. I mean, a lot of these people. And also, it's a mind state, too. The Little Nit Nits, Pookies, the Ray Rays, or even the pseudo Pookies and Ray Rays, the wannabe Little Nit Nits, the diet Little Nit Nits. You can tell by how they speak, honestly. And you can call me elitist for this, but if you speak with a certain vernacular or have a certain mindset or come at people a certain way, it was like, man, you might just be a little nit nit. I'm just saying. And there are a lot of Negroes out here who are being a little nit to their own, I won't say demise, in some cases demise, but they're just their own inconvenience. And you know what? Channels like this one are here to basically tell you that you don't have to be a little nit or a little baby kid in order to be seen as successful and as select, especially outside the community. But a lot of people, they don't want to listen to our message. Or they don't want to listen to our message. Me, Solo, King Sigma, others, Donovan Sharp, whoever. We've been telling you how you don't have to succumb to thug culture and hood culture and street culture in order to get someone just as half as good looking as Jessica X. But these guys don't want to listen. They want to set foot for Donald Trump so that he will somehow magically do the cuts and make women come back to the table. But now these same guys are talking about what was this crap? Let's go there before we go. Let's go there before. Where's that? No, okay, we got. All right, well, and we got Biden celebrations all throughout the country. I mean, I would show you all these live, but obviously you can look at them. And it's nighttime throughout the country, so unless there's like unless they're turning it up nationwide, then let's just go to some of these. Now, this is all. This is exactly when guys who were talking about these women need to pay and these women need to choke in their own excrement. Now they're saying all men need to pay. Okay, all right, Well, look, I'm not going to focus too much on this chicanery. We're about to wrap it up here. Let me just see what else is up. What do you think would happen if Trump retained presidency based on the recount? We're going to have another stream about that if that happens. And if Trump retains the presidency, consider yourself as men highly lucky, because you will then have 4 more years to get your crap straight. So, other than that, yeah, exactly. I lost cross, and many think you're a psyop. What? Okay. Yeah. Well, we're talking about that. Anyway, everyone else out there, thank you for joining me. I want you all to have a good evening. I want all of you to have the okay. All right. Yeah, I want you all to have the mindset that whatever happens, you got to work in your money. You got to build. You got to build. Just like Jason Wack of the Wack Authority says, you got to build. And now this guy's going to make me stay on here for a couple more minutes because the 3-digit IQ needed to enter the discussion. Exactly. A lot of these guys aren't aware of what I'm talking about. Not because I'm, and Solo and I had a discussion earlier in which he says, I say too many subliminal messages, and I'm very esoteric, and I'm very coded when it comes to what I'm talking about. I get that. I get it. I may not be the most direct, and I need to work on that directness, because a lot of people, quite frankly, have very short attention spans, and they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Or, oh, what you're talking about is boring, man. And I don't know, man. This is some boring crap, man. This is bull crap. But nonetheless, the other thing that I'm realizing now is that, yeah, these guys, let me see, what did you say? Yeah, these guys just, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know. They have double-digit IQs to the point in which they just don't know. They just don't know. They just don't care, or they just don't get it or won't get it. The things I talked about are very specific. The things I talk about are things that helped me throughout my life. And you know what? If they don't want to help themselves, then I just got to have it. I just got to get used to have it being lonely at the top, as the statement goes. Everyone else out there, always bet on X. Whoa. No, we're not ending this yet. Shout out to Jessica X with the $2.99 super sticker. Okay, I never thought I'd get around to having her super chat me. What is this? Super chatting me? Hold on. All that super chat money that you all threw to Jessica X, and now she's super chatting me. Now, don't let your fanboys start seeing that. No, but all seriousness, shout out to Jessica X, $2.99 super sticker. What is a super sticker on? Because I know they have like designs and decorations, and it's a bye. Oh, thanks. Really appreciate it. It's been over 2 hours. I don't do these 2+ hour streams. I'm going over their heads. I am, and I think I'm going over the heads of a lot of people, because I'm going to tell you this. The other reason why I voted for Trump, before I go, because I got was it $5 worth of super chats within the last 5 minutes. So I'll give you a couple more minutes of my explanation, specifically on why I voted for Trump. The other reason why I voted for Trump, and I never really addressed this until now, was because after 4 years of craziness from the far right, and there has been craziness from the far right, the same craziness that a lot of your black conservatives and your hood conservatives won't talk about, with the George Floyd incident and the other police brutality incidents. These are, first of all, these are actions of a police state. Do not get this twisted. These are things that certain libertarians or libertarian-minded people like myself do not co-sign. We've been calling out the rise of the police state for eons. It's just that when it happens to black people, oh, that's just law and order. That's law and order. That's law and order. He had a fake $20 bill. He needed to be choked. Oh, she should have been smoking that day. He should have pulled up his pants, had a cardigan or cardigan suit on, and he should have had suit Tuesdays. Suit Saturdays ain't enough. So you gotta be suit Sunday through all the days of the week. And the 8th day of the week, he should have had a Fiat. He should have. I don't get Fiats. To me are awful. I get it. I would rather drink, what is it? A superfood full of what was it? I'd rather drink was it apple cider vinegar than V8, honestly. But besides the fact, he should have had a V8. He should have followed the law. He should have never jaywalked. He should have done a barrel roll. He would have been alive by now. He would have, no. The cops were in defense of the cop. Hell, even the conservatives, they threw that guy who was a Trump supporter who tried to, I guess, break up a fight and he ended up killed. They even threw him under the bus. That's pathetic. You threw one of your own black conservatives under the bus. You know what? But the reason why I voted for Trump was because I knew that these guys, not the black conservatives, but I'm talking about the alt-right guys, tiki torch carrying guys who are on 4chan and with their hentai. I knew these guys were going to wild out for 4 more years. I knew these guys. I needed these guys to wild out for 4 more years. In 4 more years' time, do not say that with the wilding out that they would have done under a 2020 to 2024 Trump administration, do not tell me that we as thinking black men wouldn't have had a case to bring to the UN, the World Council, the League of Nations. I know they're defunct, but all the other international councils, The Hague. We could have brought our case to The Hague. We could have brought our concerns to The Hague. We could have brought our concerns to Geneva. Jessica knows about those locations. I know a lot of Americans are like, well, what's The Hague? Oh, what's Geneva? What's the Geneva Convention? Oh, we could have had a legitimate argument, even if Trump wasn't the instigator behind it. Just his fanboys coming in and screwing crap up would have brought a good enough argument for us as black men to state why we should be allowed to immigrate out of the United States into countries that are less anti-black male. Not anti-black, anti-black male. Hell, the UN was going to look into having black men or allowing black men diplomatic immunity, diplomatic asylum, political asylum. There you go. But I think that's going to end now. I think the talks of political asylum for black men, that's going to die down because the world sees that, Trump's no longer in office, so I guess we don't need it. So thank you, alt-righters, for not even getting your man in the office and screwing up another 4 years. Or maybe you'll wild out so much because you all lost the election that we can use the same argument for our freedom from this country. And I'm not saying for all black men to leave this country. I'm not even saying to leave this country. In reality, what I would argue is if you are thinking black men, get out of these far leftist places and get out of these far rightist places unless you have a real good reason. And that I mean you're making a crap load of money like myself. Anyway, everyone else out there, I want to thank you all for having a good night. And unless somebody else is super chatting or wants to put something in there, always bet on X.